In hindsight, what decision bit people in the ass during the pandemic? Oh man. The number of people who filed for unemployment who did not qualify and are now getting overpayment notices with a 30% penalty fee is insane. I'm talking owing 20, 36k in overpayments. The worst ones claimed due out to 52 weeks at $750 a week plus 30% penalty. I remember reading a Reddit thread in 2020 about men who had had secret families or affairs and lived double lives for years until COVID lockdowns started. They'd maintained two separate lives under the guise of lengthy business trips for years, and now that everyone had to work from home, the jig was up. My friend found an above ground pool on clearance for $199 at Lowe's right as the pandemic was starting. She texted me about it saying there were several left and I should hurry and go get one. I was too cheap to go buy one. I regretted that decision every day for the next year. Not getting household spending under control the second I was out of a job, but on the hook for an expensive lease. All those new hobbies were fun, but now I'd much rather have savings than rudimentary gardening knowledge. A bunch of people in my area decided to buy houses in rural areas under the assumption they'll be working from home forever. Now a lot of workplaces are hybrid or fully back in person and they're all stuck with long commutes, and less wealthy people in rural areas are being priced out. I heard a terrifying statistic that domestic abuse reports dropped during COVID. It's terrifying because victims were isolated from their friends/family and trapped with their abuser, so there was no one to report on their behalf. Adopting a pet while obeying stay-at-home order. A lot of people did this out of loneliness and being home 24/7. Afterwards people go back to work. Pet is suddenly alone 8 to 12 hours a day, and then the shelters are refilled to beyond capacity and now these sweet babies are being put down to relieve the overcrowding problem a lot of shelters were facing. Not walking out of my dead-end job and playing video games for a year like so many other people. Instead continued working my ass off for complete douchebags who just tossed me out with the trash when my services were no longer needed. Still too early to tell. Ask the children of the pandemic. The effect could be minimal or could be quite large. It was middle school and struggling to keep up. 1 to 2 years in virtual school would have possibly set me back to a point where I would never catch up. Decisions had to be made. This was new for everyone. Forcing essential workers to continue to show up every single day and do the whole job they signed up for with little or even no hazard pay. Worse, laying people off without any consideration for the obvious upcoming boom in homelessness. Honestly, I loved the early days of the pandemic. I'm an essential worker. No traffic during my commute. It normalized grocery deliveries and no contact food delivery in general. I had a ton of time to myself to do hobbies and watch movies. Liquor stores were open so the home bar was always stocked, and we spent no money going out since we couldn't. I have no regrets. My business took an extreme hit from closures and still has not recovered fully. In late 2020 I tried to make a deal with my landlord to reduce my rent by 25%, where I would pay the remaining 25% back when things recovered. He would not renew my lease. The company had been renting from him in the same space for 33 years. He knew I was good for it. I bought the business from my boss in late 2019. There's another story. So I moved into a smaller space in a nicer building for half the rent and no utilities. I told him he was going to spend $30,000 to renovate the space, which basically had nothing done to it since the late 80s, plus however long it would take him to find a new tenant, since commercial real estate is not currently a hot industry. This month is 2 years since I moved out. The space still sits vacant with a for rent sign in the window. He did a nice renovation. It looks great, but nobody's moving in. I was paying $3,000 a month in rent, assuming once he did the reno, that would go up something significantly. So I figure he's lost about $90,000 in rent plus the cost of renovating the space. Our president literally said that our superior Mexican genes would make us more resistant, and as such we didn't need to take so much care and there was no need to stop people from going out. So that wasn't good. It was a very minor case, but I can never pass up a chance to talk about it because it was just too stupid. At the very beginning, grocery stores put arrow stickers in the aisles and made them one way. The idea was that if people were only moving in one direction then it'd be easier to social distance. This fell apart immediately in practice because limiting movement makes social distancing harder. If someone is lingering at the far end of an aisle and you need to get something that's in the middle, then the logical thing to do is to get what you need then turn back, not continue forward. My company's shares dropped to the $20 range and are now over $100 again. I hate to think of what I would have made if I'd just dropped all my savings on it, but I was afraid I could get in trouble despite not really having any inside info. Thanks for watching, subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video.